How are you, my friend? Sorry I've not been doing live streams the last week or so. I've been on a very funny sleeping pattern. Even at this point of the day, some days I've been going to sleep, wake up at 2 in the morning, which is not normal. I'm not a normal person. So there we go. And I still can't get this in the damn holder. Just get in there, you damn stupid battery pack. Oh, let's try to balance it. Wait a minute. It might be just okay to land on the floor. Yeah, so I just thought I'd come on and do a bit of a live stream, do a bit of a catch up, to see how people have been. So, how are you, Ryan? Are you okay? Let me know. Somewhere around here, I've got a coffee. Why is it when I do a live stream, I always leave my coffee off on camera? I'm going to get up in a minute and go and grab it. It's a little bit late for a coffee, but I definitely need the caffeine. I couldn't have done a live stream yesterday because by the time I got to this part of the day, my voice sounded very rough. And I was like, I got a rough voice because I've been out for 2 days clubbing, type of a voice. But yeah, there's no set of thing to this live stream. I haven't got a plan what to do with it. I'm just coming on, see who's about on a Sunday evening. I overdid my candle from my tripod there. That was naughty of me. Oh, we've got 3 people watching now. Oh, brilliant. Any more comments? So do like the live stream. Do leave a comment. If you've got any questions you want to have me answer, I'll pretty much try to answer any questions you've got, especially if they're about Vikings, Anglo-Saxons and history. I think I just overturned my handle for my tripod, so I've got plenty more tripods I could use. This is just a cheapish one. And yeah, I've been learning a few more stories from this book, so I've got to record them in a week. And I've got quite a bit of historical content filmed. I'm gradually going through all my weapons and I'm filming up close videos of them. But I thought the one I did a few weeks back of my first sword and the Romano-British sword, which is over there by chance, did quite well. Then this week I've definitely got to film the next episode of the club series because it's just been so hot in the UK, and it's either that or I've just been sleeping at crazy times of the day and evening, trying to reset my sleeping pattern, and it's just been messing up with my filming ability. But yeah, but we do have lots of videos planned. I've got a lot more in the can, ready to go, and hopefully now that I'm into a routine again, I can try to come on and do more live streams every week, which is just been my aim. But I went out on Friday night and I didn't really finish partying after about 24 hours of drinking, staying awake, falling asleep next to a very beautiful woman. I hope my girlfriend's not watching, or my ex-girlfriend, if she is, that probably so. Nothing went on. We're just friends. Then we drank a lot of wine. Yeah, I think I must have got through 4 bottles of wine on Friday to Saturday. Yeah, it was good. And I drank a bottle of rum as well. But surprisingly, it takes an awful lot to get me drunk. So even after drinking and consuming a lot of alcohol, probably like more than what people will drink in a month in a 18-hour period, I still wasn't drunk. I mean, I didn't even have a hangover. It's so disappointing. Don't need that in my life. I can go over there. So look, what else I got around here I don't need. Oh yeah, I do recommend tablets when you go out and drink a lot, because it does prevent headaches, and it's wise to be wise. Yeah, so yeah, just been enjoying myself. I met my old mate Adrian, who I've not talked to for quite a while. Oh, I think it's going to be like a year since we really hung out for various reasons, which I won't go into. But we kind of made up, and we had a good sit-down discussion. But I bumped into him coming back from town on Friday. I ended up going into town Friday evening with him, and so got a comment here from King Edward, the turbulent Neil Giant Slayer tank. Yes, if you're ever playing rugby, watch out for him. And it says, "Hi, Braggy, how are you?" No, I'm really good actually. Yeah. Yeah, I've been burning the candle at both ends, and I'm out tonight as well. So it'll be another night I'm going out because I feel like I've got the energy to go and have a few more beers and enjoy myself. So I'll go down the local with my neighbours and just say hello to my friends Martin and Marie. And if the lad Daniel is there, I'll have a chat with him. He's only 18, but he's a really big guy, big into weightlifting. And we both got the same sort of views on life. And I think at some point we'll try to get Daniel on the channel because I think he would be interested in seeing what it's like actually to wear chainmail and to try to understand what it takes fitness-wise to be a Viking or a Norse warrior. So yes. And then King Edward says, rum and coke is the good combo. Well, yes, definitely. I definitely love rum and coke. It's one of my favourites. With a little bit of ice, not too much, but I don't want to water it down too much. But, a little tumbler, it don't last very long, 5-10 minutes and it's gone and I've got to start all over again. And I think I'm pretty much run out of rum, so I need to go and buy some. And then we have a comment here from Janus, hashtag shorts. Oh, do you make short videos? He says hello. So hello to you as well, and a warm welcome to Northworthy, the home of Norse Vikings and a lot of also different sort of content from comedy to storytelling, even trying to get into talking about some modern things these days as well, which I think is just going to open up the channel. I know that sort of content isn't for everybody, but I just can't hang about for the next 10 years trying to get, to the point on YouTube where I make a living out of it just with making Norse and Viking content because it's just going to take forever. So if you ever see me doing alternative videos, that's the reason why. Because I just need to break out. I need to make a living out of this because I want to, the Thunder Champ channel, I want to go away to places. I want to visit really historical places and castles and towns, visit a lot of museums, go to different countries, but I'm just not really fundamentally prepared to keep doing it out of my own pocket because I don't have big pockets in the sense of there's not a lot of money in them. And of course, if you're making content, you're doing it full time, you've got to get to that stage of YouTube, and we're getting there. We are getting there. Where you monetize and you're making an income out of it. So yes, so if you have any questions, please do let me know. In a minute, I'm going to have to just liberate myself over there for 30 seconds to go and get my coffee. And I've got to keep eye on the time as well because I think I'm going out in 90 minutes. So we've got a comment here from Offer 10. It says, "Hi, Braggy." And then chat. And it's been lovely talking to you over Facebook. If everybody wants to add me on Facebook, then please do so. Because I'm more than happy to talk to you. And you can add me as a friend. You just got to type in Andy Bragi Magnusson, which is Bragi. Magnusson is spelled not the typical way. It's spelled the rarer version, which is Magnarsson. Then you just put Wright as in WRIGHT, and that's how you find me fundamentally on Facebook. Or you can just type in Northworthy Sagas, and you should find that little page we've got, which I'm trying to do a little bit more with these days. We do have quite a few followers on Facebook. I'm not a massive Facebook fan, to be fair. I mean, apart from lots of historical groups and pages like that I follow, and I've still got a lot of friends from my reenacting days on there, and I'm in a lot of Facebook dating groups randomly. I really need to take better selfies. I can film a good video, I can tell you a good story, but I take rubbish selfies. So let me just liberate the coffee. I'm not going. I'll be back. 30 seconds. There we go. I'm back. Oh. Let me just position my lyre so it don't fall off the settee. I'm gradually trying to learn to play this. Okay, I could probably drink coffee and play it with one hand for you, but I just find that what the difficult thing about this I find is just the tuning of it. First of all, I've always found, guitars and bass guitars and anything with strings difficult to tune, because I'm tuning it and I'm thinking, why is it not getting tuned a bit more, a bit tighter, and I just have the fear of the strings breaking. I don't know why. It's a daft thing. But I don't think it's in tune. No. So gradually, behind the scenes, I'm practicing. I'm trying to practice tuning it. It's quite a nice piece, I must say. And one of my Facebook friends has been trying to encourage me, a guy called Russell, and I must apologise to him because he asked me to film some videos so you can see what I've been doing. But because not until recently I couldn't find my decent camera system, I've only just started using it in the last 3-4 weeks. Just getting away from the mobile phone, because mobiles are great and handy when you've got to do some filming on your mobile. But if you've got a really expensive camera, you may as well use that. So gradually, I'm just trying to learn behind the scenes so that I get to the point where I feel confident enough to say, yeah, I can start, think about producing some videos and maybe doing some singing. If I could learn how to play some songs on here, and then I could sing. But I'm also trying to get the balance right when it comes to the lyre of singing and not overpowering the harp playing, because I've got a loud voice, unfortunately. But that one's out of tune. And then the other thing I find with these is, unless you've got really strong fingers, it's very difficult actually to tune them. You have to really grab it and try to force it round. And what they normally have is a little device made from wood with a wooden handle, and it's got the section here, and you put it over, then you could tune it quite easily. But when they get really stiff and tight, it just becomes a little bit harder to tune. So I'm trying to get through that balance, and so that don't sound in tune to me. So those are right. That's okay. They're okay. Yeah, well, I think the second one isn't in tune because it sounds like the first one. So that should be a bit higher. So again, you have to get the little thing, try to twist it around as much as you can. And I don't have the strongest hands in the world, so perhaps I need to detune the first one slightly. So eventually, I am determined to get there. It may take me a few months, it might take me a few years. Just go back to the comments. So, King Edward, I made you one of the moderators on the channel. Now, if you don't want the blue tick, please let me know and I'll immediately remove it. But I just want to say thank you for all the support you've given us. And because you've been around a long time, I just know that you're a decent, honourable human being, and I love you to bits, King Edward. So I just want to say thank you. We've given you the blue tick because it does help in the future that we have good moderators, especially when we do take off and we get to the point where we have 100 people watching, then 500 one day, and possibly even 1,000. You never know. We've got to aim high, because if we don't aim high, with what you're doing in your life, you just get low results. And I've never been a believer of aiming for low results. If you aim low, you get low results. If you aim high in life, you get better results. But just, but if I do ever award, I'm trying not to point my finger at the camera, but it's a bit difficult when try this way. Yes. I'm out of practice when it comes to live streaming, that's what it is. And then King Edward says, I'm just cooking some smoked salmon with smoked pork with herbs and vegetables. That sounds quite nice. I do like a bit of salmon now and again. And then the other day, somebody told me that they was having a salmon sandwich with grated cheese. I don't know whether that would work, but I must say, I'd quite like to try it. I had 2 bacon burger cobs I got from a food waste bin. They've been in my freezer for a few weeks, but I must say Nothing wrong with them. And then Offer 10 says, King Edward, that sounds good. It certainly does sound good. And I do say, I do love a nice bit of food. And I quite look. I've heard about a really nice Turkish restaurant I won't mind going to. And I won't mind going to the Cow up at Dolby Lees and trying the food again. And then Offer 10 says, I bought a SBQR. Is that the manufacturer? Vendel sword, Gotland, Brower, 8th century, from Celtic Old Web Merchant. I haven't received it yet, but you do have any experience with the quality? Yes. Hang on. I am coming back. So, luckily, I do have a Celtic Web Merchant sword on me. And yeah, not precisely on me, but it was in the corner of the room. So this is the Romano-British sword I got, or very early migrational sword, and this is one by Celtic Web Merchant. And I must say, you know, it's I like it. It's good. I mean, I couldn't really improve the scabbard apart from making a baldric for it. I could make a baldric that would make it even better. And I think if I made a baldric, I'd have to make it with red dye to match this. I like the ends. Not again, nicely well done. You know, I think the only downside with these fittings, they're slightly thin when it comes to the material thickness. I would have liked to have seen them probably a little bit thicker in gauge, myself personally. But again, you know, you've got the top fitting, and I'm not quite yet determined what the material is, whether it's brass or copper. It's going to be either brass or copper, and it's going to be plated. And then I quite like this, but again, I don't always want to fundamentally rely on this because I don't know how long it would last. I assume it's been probably pinned from inside to the outside, maybe. But then again, it may just be glued on. I'm not yet determined that aspect of it. But I think having a baldric system would be better rather than hanging it from your bolt. I have actually put it on a bolt system already. I've tried it, and this does seem quite firm. But I'm always a little bit dubious. The handle, I mean, yeah, fair enough. It's a wooden handle, but it's an accurate one because it's a historical copy, and this is what the original was had in the speculation. Again, when you're having a crossguard of wood, you only need one good sword blow, and that's going to break that off and damage it. So again, this is a display piece and not a combat weapon. Again, you got the mounting at the end, and I think this is quite nicely done as well. I mean, it looks like it's been hammered properly. Also, the washer is also countersunk in, so it's flush. It's not sitting proud. Again, that's a nice feature. And I could definitely improve this sword by doing a few things with the handles, or even making a new handle fitting in the future if I so desired. But I don't know about that. But I do quite fancy getting some very fine brass or silver wire and doing some twisted wire and just put it into these little grooves. But I think, you know, on this one here, on these two, that would be quite nice, I think. And then the sword itself, it's nicely and firmly fitting in this scabbard. And apparently I was reading a comment the other day, and they were talking about the fact that in Sweden the word for sheath is vagina, and I think that's quite amazing, really. And it makes you think whether the modern term for what that is comes from, and without going too crude in the comment, but I find that to be quite a fascinating thing, that the Swedish word for sheath, and I'm not sure whether it's the same for a scabbard, but certainly for a sheath, they call it a vagina, and it's probably pronounced slightly differently in Sweden to UK pronunciation. So it's a bit of a, you know. Now, the only thing about this I don't like is in the inside, and I don't know whether the rubber goes all the way down because I'm not really shined the torch down it to have a look, but it's got a rubber inside rather than having sheepskin. So again, I would prefer that to be sheepskin or some sort of a fur, rather than being a modern piece of foam. But it's in there. I can't really do much to get rid of it without taking it all apart. I don't want to do that. And I must say, it's a nice firm fit. So overall, and then you just got these little bit at the ends you can see. And the reason why I have these little spheres is because when it rubs and scrapes on the ground, especially in the modern age, although at the time they didn't think about this because they didn't really have. Well, I suppose they had roads that were quite hard wearing because they're made from stone, weren't they? The Roman roads, and there would have been remains left over. But this will just stop any scraping and any of this wear away. If these little spheres weren't here, then what would happen? This would gradually get worn away, and with hitting things on the ground and hitting stones when you're walking and so forth. Although it'll take an awful long time for that to happen. So again, it's not just design, it's also a practical element to the scabbard itself. And I must say that's quite unusual for a bottom mount. And then we go to the sword. Again, it's the sharp, but they're not sharp to the point where you could cut yourself, because it's sharp, blunt fundamentally. And I think the reason for that is because of the customs regulations. If it was an actual sharp sword, it may not always get past customs. Oh, but don't get me wrong. I mean, you could certainly stab this through a pig, and it will probably slice into it quite effectively. And I think you'd also probably stab the point in, and that will do quite a bit of damage. Even though I could put my finger up the end and it don't cut my finger, and I could run my whole hand down the blade, and it's not cutting my hand. I couldn't do that if that was a sharp sword. And it does leave the option in the future for me to say, well, yes, I'm going to sharpen this up now, an actual, go on my grinding wheel and very carefully grind a point on it and an edge. But I've not thought about that yet. I'm still toying with that idea. And then you can certainly see a few little marks you can see on there from the polishing wheel. So it's been polished on the polishing wheel. I can definitely tell that. So it's not got that classical mirror image. So it's not been on a buffer, but it's certainly been on something a bit with a less of a grain, or more of a grain, whatever way you want to call it. So yeah, overall, quite a nice piece. It's got a nice balance to it. I mean, I think the balance is about there. So again, it's a little bit further down the blade. I guess if this was metal, then the balance point would be further along the blade. And again, I don't want to touch the blade too much with my hand, but I don't want to get any fingerprints on it. But yeah, overall, I quite like Celtic Web Merchant. If you're looking for just historical display pieces, then they're great. I'm not certain if they make combat pieces. I've not really looked into that myself. And I know Martin from Belfast is a massive fan of theirs and has literally bought a lot of stuff from them. So we'll just put it, and again, with it having a foam inside, I'm not certain, like I said, whether the foam goes all the way down the scabbard. It is a nice firm fit, and as you get closer to the hilt, it's even firmer. So that's never going to come out. Now, another thing I could do is make an authentic peace tie, so that I got a bit of cordage around this aspect, so that when I'm wearing it, outside in the garden for filming or at a reenactment, then it could fundamentally stop the sword from coming out. But because it's a push fit, because it's so, you got to really push it to get it in, that's never going to happen. And that's one of the reasons why in a scabbard you should always have some sort of lining. Personally, I like to have sheep wool lining because I like it, and I like the fact that it takes the oil. And then normally before I put the scabbard together and glue it together, I've got the sheet lining inside. It's very securely bonded in. And then I'll give it a bit of oil and a bit of spray from WD-40, or if you want to be authentic, some nice animal fat, and then that would be authentic as well if you want to go down that route. So yeah, so I do like them. So let's go back to your comments. And then Offerton says they advertise 1065 carbon steel, but I don't know whether it's suitable for test cuts. Yeah, again, I don't know whether I want to test that blade. I certainly have tested it against the big stump in the garden, and it certainly does cut into it. So yes, I think so. It's got a certain degree of hardness, but I wouldn't like to go too big in testing it without the fear of it breaking or even bending. But I don't think it will do, looking at the quality of it. So and then just make sure you check your emails, because when I had when I bought that the other sword, the sea axe, it was over £200. I think it was around about £250 altogether I spent. They tried to send it to me, but for some reason it bounced back at customs and came back to them. So I complained about it, and they basically refunded me my money, but also continued to send these 3 items out. But of course, from my perspective, they've got a review, and they're always going to get a shout out from me because I think they're a good company. And they're based in Belgium, I think, or the Netherlands, if I'm correct. So I thought, being Celtic Red Merchant, I had that impression from my mind thinking that actually they'll be based in either South or Ireland or in Northern Ireland. But of course, I was massively wrong. They're not. They're based in Europe. And of course, if you're going to buy stuff from them, keep it on, especially in the UK, and keep it under the limit for the customs, and buy it separately. So one day buy a sword, pay for your item and the postage, and then repeat the process and just instruct them to send them individually rather than put them all together, because then that would also, in theory, save you some money customs wise. I can't really mention what it'd be like to Norway because I don't know your custom regulations. But either way, let me know what the sword is like. I'd love to see some pictures, because I definitely want to look at getting some Vendel things in the future. A nice, Vendel Age helmet, maybe 2 or 3 of them for the channel, and just look at making some earlier Vendel stuff so we can cover that on the channel and wear those bright, colourful Vendel clothes and look a bit like the Wolf Headness group, because I think their kit is amazing. So yeah. Oh, ignore that. I'm getting a phone call. Can you hear that phone call? Airplane mode, but then I got to turn my Wi-Fi back on. But I shouldn't have got that phone call. So it's a pity you can't put it in some kind of a Wi-Fi mode where you're not connected to your internet in the sense of getting phone calls or text messages, even though I need to figure out what time I'm going out. Yeah, so it's been raining a lot in the UK. Been very wet, and we've had some lovely weather. But it has been a little bit hot at times at night, so I'll be sleeping with my windows open. It must be great sleeping in a longhouse when it's quite drafty in the summertime, and you're not suffering with too much heat. And then possibly you probably still have your fire pit going at night as well, to add that extra heat to your longhouse. I would have thought so, because you got to cook and boil water all the time, so you got to have your fire going in one sense or another. But it would be quite nice to, and I often thought about it. I've got room down the garden. Perhaps go and look at Germany, have a longhouse built and ship it over. What do you reckon to that? I love that idea. I think that would be quite cool. But of course, it takes a lot of planning. So yeah, if you've got any more comments, anything to talk about, I don't really have anything else Viking on me at the moment. And then Gustav Berglund says, isn't it likely they cooked outside or in a separate cookhouse depending on the size of the community? Well, yes, that would have happened as well. Generally, in smaller longhouses, the hearth would have been in the middle, and certainly in the hot summer months, if it's too hot and you've got a larger increase of setting fire to your building, for instance, then certainly they had the ability to cook outside, and they did, because I've certainly seen longhouses, generally smaller ones, will have a fire pit inside, but also one outside in a little area just designated for that purpose. And then, of course, with a much longer and bigger longhouse, or even let's say you had the money in the coin, you may be a housecarl or the equivalent rank as in the Norse world. you may have a separate house for cooking with as well. So that did happen as well. But certainly, whenever I've stayed in Anglo-Saxon or longhouses, we generally cook in the middle of the house. That's always been a tradition I've seen, and I think on a couple of occasions when it was too warm and the ground was so dry, they insisted that we didn't have a fire because of the health and safety aspect of it, and that we just cook in an open fire pit outside, which we didn't mind. We was happy to do that. But that probably would have been the thing back in the day as well. Because I imagine, I don't know, would there be more risk if we've had a lot of dry weather? Would there be a bigger risk of fire compared to, let's say, winter? So possibly so, yeah, because maybe wood breathes, it takes in moisture. It probably slightly damper in the winter time because there's more moisture in the air. So perhaps that would have been a thing. And hello to Gustav. How are you, my friend? So I'm just getting my coffee. Yeah, and what else have I done? I have been editing quite a few videos. I've been working on TikTok a little bit more. Recorded lots of folk tales. So more in the can to edit. So I've been doing that as well, behind the scenes. Been trying to tidy my house. So we have a comment here from Gustav Berglund, says, doing pretty good. How about you? No, I'm really good actually. I'm really great. And I've had a really good weekend. And like I said, I met up with an old friend of mine called Adrian, who we didn't fall out. He just kind of, because of the situation I was in, how he described it to me, and I completely understand this. He didn't want to get involved, and he didn't want to put his opinion over. He said that to just walk away from me, Andy or Braggy, just let you make your own mind up. And I'm not going to say too much what the situation I was in at the time, but I see that as having so much sense about it, and he was right, fundamentally so, and the way he was. And I think it's always a good sign that when you lose contact with a friend, and I did bump into him last year, but we didn't really chat for long. But this time, when I was coming back and I saw him sunbathing, because I know I got a local park about a mile away, and I often walk back through the park on the way back from town, and I know where he sunbathes, so I thought, well, I thought I saw him in Derby, but I wasn't certain. I was waiting for a friend of mine to walk past, but I didn't see him. Somebody I used to work with, an old friend of mine called Paul, the model maker. He makes miniature fairground rides, which are like 3 or 4 foot wide. He's a really clever guy, actually. But I'd love to actually video the whole process of him making a miniature fairground ride, because I think that'll be an absolutely fascinating little documentary. And he always puts himself down. He always says, "Oh, Andy," he said, "I'm rubbish at my hobby. I'm bloody rubbish." But I see what he makes, and it's like, wow, you made that. You think, you've got electronics. It goes around and it does things. So he makes all these miniature fairground ride because he's got a family connection. And I really would actually love to actually just film the whole process and make a little documentary over a few months, because I think that would be really cool. And then on Friday night, I met a woman called, well, me and Adi went out, and I'm sure he won't mention, he has actually offered to appear on the channel dressed as a Viking if I need an extra. So you never know, you might have too many of us soon. Because I'm trying to think about getting Jolene on the channel, my friend of mine, without being too extreme. I don't think I could put on a live stream. It would be too dangerous for the channel. But I think getting her dressed up in some Viking clothing, and because she's fantastically good looking, I think you guys would be quite amazed. I mean, we could talk about, Viking women warriors. Did they have one, and dress her up as a warrior? Well, we'll see about that. So yeah, I got talking to another woman called Susie, the saxophone player, and she wants me to do a music video for her. So I might think about doing that. Could be quite interesting little project, a little sideline. I don't know whether I'm going to put it on the main channel. I might do, being I'll own the video technically. But it's all about experimenting with different sorts of content, and I do love the whole process of making videos. I love it to bits. If I didn't love making videos, if I didn't love doing what we've done on the channel, I won't be here now. So, dressed in my funny American football shirt for some mad reason. I don't often wear shirts like this, but it's the only one I could find today that was at hand because I got too many clothes. And again, it came from a charity waste bin. They threw this away. Could you believe it? I mean, they could have sold this in the shop instead of just throwing it into the bin to go to a landfill. So, and then Opperton says, King Edward, I only know one cookbook about Viking food, but maybe the ingredients are hard to come by. Well, one of the old friends of the channel, his name was Sagas. He was around until 2020 when he passed away from COVID. Rest in peace, Tecto. But he was a reenactor for many years in this period of history, the medieval age. And at one point, he collected a lot of recipes from historical sources and spent a long time doing it. And he gave it to me before he passed away. So it's about that thick full of recipes. So I think it'd be quite interesting to actually, maybe have a go at having opening side tent, invest in some cooking equipment, because I don't really have anything I could cook with. I got a cauldron, but it's really not worth eating out of. It's rusty. So I'd have to invest in the right stuff to do it. But then maybe having a go at actually, I got some skillets, but I don't have a good cooking pot. I don't have any cooking utensils either. So it's something to think about in the future. But I think it'd be quite interesting to actually make a video or make a series on cooking what we know they did have. We know about the food they had. I mean, naturally, we could source that from the archaeological sources. We could source that from the pictorial sources as well. And certainly there'll be some of that within the sagas, I'd imagine. There may be some aspects of talking about food in the sagas. Not that I can't really recall any, but there must be, surely. So we know what they had. We know what food they grew. We knew what they hunted for. So from that, we could fundamentally determine some recipes. And of course, they had a lot of stews, and they used up all the food they had. So nothing generally went to waste. So that could be quite interesting. Oh, I love coffee. And then Opperton says, hi, Gustav Bergland. Sorry for waving. Hello, wave. Oh, yes. It's always lovely to hang out. And so now that I'm back into some sort of routine, I can start thinking about doing more live streams. But to be fair, during that little period I've been through in the last couple of weeks where I've been sleeping at funny times, I've watched quite a few TV shows on Paramount. I watched Tussler King, that was very good. Then I just watched this TV series called Lamb Man or Lamb Men. That had, is it Bobby J. Thornton, I think, or something like that. It'll come back to me. That's quite good. I enjoyed that. That's about the oil industry. It's a drama. Then I've been listening to a lot of music. I don't think Alexa's on. Alexa, are you not turned on? Thank God. Because if I listen to music, I can get things done. If I'm watching TV, because I need to relax and just lie down for a while, which is mostly on my bed. Because I don't have a TV in here, technically. I do have a TV in here, behind my monitor, the big TV, but I don't have it turned on the Wi-Fi, strangely. That could be something I could think about doing. What was that notification? Sorry, I'm still here. Right, sorry, I was just checking. I put a post on a Facebook dating site earlier, a UK one, just saying hello, as I do, and I'm just seeing who left me a message. But I do get bored. You go on some of these sites. There's one on Facebook called Shield Maidens and Vikings, and it's just, you put a thing on there, and you're just going to get bombarded from women trying to sell you a cam show, or even worse, scammers. And that'll make me laugh, because you can always spot them. They always say hello, dear, or they always use the term dear. Like, everybody talks like that these days. And because I've incorporated AI on my phone, always just do a screenshot, and then I will say, yes, that's definitely a scammer. But I know, because I like to catch them. I could do a channel on that, Bragi catches scammers. But if I was clever enough, like they do on some of these videos where they then hack into their computer and then take all the money away from them. But it's a bit funny, isn't it? Because the scammers are taking money, and then the people that are proving that the scammers are then emptying their bank accounts. But where does the money go after that? I don't know. And of course, I don't really have the concentration to watch those videos for more than a few minutes without being bored and thinking I've got to do something else in the house. Yeah. Yeah, and it is a form of scammer payback. But I don't know what it will be technically, legally. I mean, the scammers are stealing in the first place, so then these very good, clever people are stealing back from the scammers. I assume they'll give the money back to charity, or even return it to the original first person that got scammed in the first place. And I was reading the other day something like in the UK alone this year, it's something like 100, crazy amount, like £100 million have been scammed so far, or was it last year, or on average? And then we have a comment here from Arhab the fisherman. So hello, how are you, Arhab? And he says, I think they give it back. Yeah, I would have thought that would be the case. I think they probably get contacted by somebody who's been scammed, and then they must have the information to find out the scammer. But it's very clever how they do it. I've seen a few of them. I've watched a few in my time. But it's just been a while since I really watched any. And I never quite get to the end of the video because my concentration span just I get distracted by a house full of too many things. I mean, I'm not a minimalist. I'm a maximalist, I've got too many books. I've got too many CDs. I'm a male attic for at the moment. I need to have some car boots one day. And then Ahab, is it Ahab the fisherman? Yes. I'm sub to the channels like that. Yeah, I think that's a fascinating whole genre of content for YouTube, and they're fundamentally doing a really good job. So I really like that. And let's face it, scamming people is bad. And there's a few very interesting TED Talks where some people come on and talk about the old world of scammers. And some of those videos are actually very hilarious and very funny. And, but there's an awful lot of gullible people out there who get scammed, So you got to be careful all the time, definitely. And this was one of the reasons why I don't like Facebook. And I've had people I've talked to, and they're definitely scammers. And then you report them to Facebook, and they don't do anything. They don't delete the accounts. They don't look at the screenshots you've taken. They just say, "Well, there's no concerns here. We're not doing anything." But this is very clearly a scammer, and Facebook are not taking responsibility for that. So it's one of the reasons why I'm not a massive fan of Facebook. But I don't mind looking at local girls, women in the area, on some of the local dating sites. And to be fair, I'm always, whenever I go out clubbing or to a few bars, I'm always meeting fascinating, beautiful women. So fair enough. And then Ahab says it's typically the older generations that get scammed. Yeah, I think the majority of people that get scammed are definitely older people. Definitely. And then on Paramount Plus, which I'm subscribed to at the moment, I've been watching Catfish UK. I've never seen the American version. And, I must say, it's been quite, a fascinating, program to watch, actually. And you think to yourself, some people are having, conversations and an online relationship with people. But, as soon as they do like an image reverse search, they find that this person's not fundamentally who they say they are. So people need to be a little bit more diligent as well. But then a lot of people I've never really heard of reverse image search. I mean, I do that a lot to people I chat to. If I'm talking to somebody, I think to myself, if I see a red flag, I'll think, right, I'll just do image search and see what pops up. And then Ahab says, I'm American, so I didn't even know that there's a UK version. Yeah, it's from the same people. It's got a guy called Uber, and I can't remember there's Uber girl on it. I can't remember her name. I think there's Julia or Julie, the first host, season 1. I think the funniest one I saw was when it was a woman got catfished by her own nephew, and I thought that was quite alarming. But there's also been some really nice stories where they've been talking to actually genuine people. There's one girl who was just too afraid and too nervous about meeting this guy. So in the end, they got them together, and then they did a follow up 3-4 months down the line, and they're going out with each other. And I thought, well, that's really nice. That's a nice positive story. So yeah. So you're going to get people are going to be properly catfished, and they're going to fall for that because they're very clever. Even though you can sometimes see it. And then you're going to have genuine people that are not trying to catfish somebody, that are on online relationship, but for various reasons they just don't meet up. But yeah, it's on Paramount Plus. I do recommend it, and I think there are a few episodes on YouTube as well. But I've definitely seen 1 or 2 on YouTube over the years. I think there's 3 or 4 seasons now. So yeah, that's quite fascinating. Of course, it also shows you a little bit of English culture as well, which is also fascinating. And I've not seen any of the Americans versions yet, but I wouldn't mind watching some in the future. So keep an eye on the time, because I'm going for some more beer tonight. And I would love to take you with me and do a live stream in the pub, but you're not allowed to take the mobile phone. Samuel Smiths do not like mobiles. The most I could do is sit outside on my phone, and that's the most I could do. But and then I went out was it on Thursday? No, I went out Thursday night as well. So I've been out Thursday night. I went out Friday night. I got back, and then my friend Jolene came round at 3 in the morning because she was lonely and needed a hug. Then we carried on drinking on Saturday, and then just had a lovely time. So I just get another message, somebody asking where I am in the UK. I'll have to go back to that in a little bit. But yeah, so I will try to do some more live streams in the next week, because I often think to myself, well, I'm not tired. I can sit in my house, I can do a live stream, and it just saves me tidying up. Although I've got to keep tidying up, and because when my friend came around the first time, she kind of told me off for saying, well, you need to sort your house out, Andy. And I think she understands the fact that I get overwhelmed by the whole process. And I'm not used to living on my own, to be fair. But I am getting better, I'm a bit of a hoarder. I can't help it. I hoard things like Viking things. And I can go out at any time of the day and find things for free. I'm just lucky. I can just literally go to a bin, or skip and pick up a bag, and I'll find phones and really useful things and books. And I do find some really rare books as well when I go out. It's amazing what people throw away. So Ahab says, is it evening over there? Is it morning? It's morning here. Yeah, so it's just gone 7 o'clock at night. So we've got about 90 minutes until sunset, 8:30-ish. And then, another week starts Monday. So we'll see what that brings. Hopefully, I'll get out in my Viking kit now. It's a little bit cooler. I've definitely got to go out this week. I'm filming the next batch of finishing the wooden club off. And then I got to repair my wood horse, which is a shaving horse I use for working on wood. If you know what a wood horse is. And then at some point in the future, I'm going to make a new one. But I may record the process of actually, making a whole new wood horse, and I'm going to probably film the process of me making two new legs for my old one, because where the legs go into the plank, what I'm sitting on, it's just gone rotten. So we've got a comment here from Gustav. Yeah, I've been thinking about starting dumpster diving for things. Seen some people doing it, and it's insane what they find. Not for food. Well, I do go for food as well now and again. And I mean, at the moment, I got eggs. I'm not paid for my eggs. I mean, all the bread I've had in the last 2 weeks, I'm not paid for that. That's all came out of a co-op bin. It's all been put in like an hour ago, and then you get it straight afterwards. Um, but it is amazing what you'll find. You will, I've been to Skips, and there's 40 boxes of crisps, and like 500 packets of crisps still in date. May have a few weeks left. I found bottles and bottles of whiskey. I found a lot of vodka at one occasion. I mean a lot. I mean, I don't drink vodka. Thank God I don't. But I gave quite a bit away, and I got rid of the rest. So it is amazing what you find. I mean, I found 19th century books. I found 19th century oil paintings. I found gold. I found silver. World War II medals. I found some of them. I mean, the amount of phones I've found. So sometimes the phones are no good, they're a bit knackered, but often, I got brand new iPhones or iPhones that are not being used. Um, I mean, last time I was out, I found a guitar, I found a ukulele, and a little drum. Nothing wrong with them. So I've got a set of golf clubs from the 1950s that I've got to give away to my friend. So hopefully they'll find a home. So yeah, I do find a lot of stuff, but the thing I found difficult at first was I was taking too much stuff, and then that made my house messy. So I've been trying to teach myself the lesson of only taking what I'm going to use, give away, or redonate. And I mean, like I found 4 or 5 massive bin bags full of clothes the other week, last Tuesday. So I took them, and a lot of them are going to go back to charity, or to a charity that will actually use them, because there's nothing wrong with them. And in fact, even these 4 or 5 bags of clothes, there's probably about 40 to 50 items that are brand new, still got the labels on. And if some of them are like, £100, 50 quid, So again, some of it I will think about maybe selling on Vinted, maybe. But we'll see. But yeah, and again, it's also about understanding the legality of it, because I think if you're going to go dumpster diving, you got to know the legal process of what you're doing fundamentally. So just don't go, just don't climb over a fence to get stuff. If it's in a fenced up area and you can walk straight in if the gates are open, that's great, that's acceptable. But as soon as you go into the element of climbing over a fence, then that's fundamentally trespassing, and that's when you can get done, and you could get yourself in trouble. So if you're in the public and you can just walk up to a bin, and there's nothing stopping you from doing it, then that's quite acceptable. And I've been stopped by the police this year probably 3 or 4 times. I'll tell you a funny story. So I was at one of my local places I go to, dumpster diving. And at the very bottom of the big bin, there was a load of really nice pots and plates, like World War II style, really nice decorated, patterns. So I thought, well, I'm going to go in, but I couldn't get it without climbing in the bin. And there's another bin next door to me. So I'm in the bottom of this bin, and you can always guarantee that the good stuff is at the bottom of the bin. And that's often the stuff that people miss or too lazy to climb in to get. So I'm inside of this big bin, and there's a big box full of really nice old pots and plates and cups. And I thought, well, yeah, I could give some of that away to some of my World War II reenactment friends, which I will do in the future when I've got round to it. So I'm putting them out on the lid, and I climb back in the lid again, and I hear these 3 voices. So and I finish what I'm doing, I've had a rummage around. I can't find anything else. So I jump out of the bin, and as soon as I jump out of the bin, there's these three women police officers just kind of walking past, and I scared the living daylights out of them. They're like, "Oh bloody hell!" They said to me, "They said we didn't know what you're doing in that bin, sir." I said, "Oh, I'm dumpster diving. I'm free cycling. I'm getting some free stuff, which I'm going to give away, and some of it I'll keep for myself." I don't like to tell police and people that I sold stuff because I've not sold anything yet within all the last year I've been doing it. I just literally kept everything for myself, and gradually, I mean, I've definitely taken things I shouldn't have took in the sense of them being rubbish. So I've now learnt the knack of only taking the good stuff and leaving the crap behind, because all I've done is fill my own bin up with stuff I found which I don't want. Like, I've taken literally too many shoes. And out of all the shoes, probably a few hundred pairs, I got some really nice shoes. In fact, it's a pair of Adidas I got here that fit me. They just come out of my washing machine, and I'll be wearing these now. Nothing wrong with them. I mean, look at that. I mean, they've been in a washing machine. They've had a good wash. They don't really look used at all. But you got to be careful, because when you take your shoes, if they've got wear on the inside, or the sole's knackered, got wearing it, just leave it behind. Don't take it, because you don't need it. But that's a real nice shoe, and you can still see the label inside, and so it don't look very worn. I don't really care about wearing second-hand shoes. I don't. But and then stuff like this, like tops. I mean, amount of clothes I've found. I mean, literally, and that's a Dickies. Dickies used to manufacture and make the clothes for the soldiers in World War II. So it's also a really good amount of. It's really good clothing. It lasts a long time. So yeah. So I literally, I've got a whole pile over there of women's dresses I got to get rid of, and I got a friend of mine who sells stuff on Vinted. So I'll probably sort some deal out, and she'll probably give me a bit of cash back to cover my fuel, and then she'll have a bit of income. Jackets. I found some really nice coats and jackets. Proper, designer wear. With like the approved by royalty. So, Armani. I found Armani suits. Hugo Boss. Found tons of Hugo Boss. So, apart from my socks and my underwear, like these jeans I'm wearing, charity bin, pillow, charity bin. This here, charity bin. Charity bin. Not this though. This is my old shirt I used to have in the 90s. Very jazzy. Not there tonight. It's very colourful. Another one. Charity bin. Needs a little bit of work, but it looks nice on my shelf. I literally, I found a book the other day by I can't remember the name of it. It's called Starboy. It's 1933, and that's worth about £100 first edition. So, you can in one night you can go out and in theory, and definitely a lot of people go dumpster diving and they do it for a living, because if you're doing car boots at the weekend and you got no stuff for your car boot, just go around a few charity waste bins, and you'll find enough stuff to fill your car. So. And I know people do that. I definitely, because I talked to a few guys. I mean, I found, nice cameras, lovely boxes, clothes horse. You name it, I've found it. So I've even found a few things which, I'll get away with in the Viking Age or other periods of history. I mean, for instance, this book on folk tales, a charity bin, just been thrown away. Waste. What a waste. So yeah. So let's go to your comments. So yeah, so it's a fantastic hobby to get into, but you just got to first of all understand the process of the law when you do get stopped. It's not illegal to take stuff out of a bin, because as soon as a charter or any shop puts rubbish in a bin, it's no longer their property. It becomes property of the waste disposal company. They're not going to say. And nobody has ever been taken to court for taking stuff out of a bin, because it's not worth it for the massive waste companies, because it's just going to make them look bad. because most of the stuff you take is going to landfill, and very few of it is going to get recycled. So I understand the law, and I know it's slightly different in America, but again, as long as you're not committing trespass, then that's fine. And even if you're, it's probably only civil trespass at the most, definitely in the UK. But and then the other thing, oh, I'm getting the phone call again. Right, it's gone. And then the other thing is, don't leave a mess. So that's what the police said to me and Shan, you liked, is one of the subscribers on the channel. So we're not bothered about you taking stuff, as long as you don't leave a mess. And that's the same with the charity shops, and it's the same with the big companies. If you're not making a mess, then they don't really mind you taking stuff. And we literally being stopped outside, by people that work for the companies, and they'll say to you, yeah, we don't mind you taking stuff, just don't leave a mess. That's all we're bothered about. So, and then whenever I go out, and I go out with my friend, we always try to make a point of tidying up a little bit more and making the area even more tidy, because that gives dumpster divers a good name. And yeah, you will go out, you will find food, but a lot of shops like Tesco, they crush all their food, so that all goes to landfill or gets burned. Some of them will have them behind locked cages, like Aldi and Lidl, so you can't get their food. But it also depends on your area as well. I find that the bigger the city, the more restrictions there are when it comes to getting access. But on some of the smaller towns, it's not so strict. So you can just walk in, and you'll just go through the food bin, and they're normally in pink bags. They should be in pink bags. So you just got to get the bags when they're fresh, and then just go through it. I mean, like I don't often have flowers in my house, but I did have some nice flowers that got out of the Co-op bin. And the Co-op is one of the big shopping brands in the UK. They've been thrown out now, but they were quite nice. And then just try not to take too much. And then also give stuff away, because let's face it, there's lots of charities that will actually take clothes off you, and it goes to a good cause. Because a charity shop is a business. It's not a charity. It is a business. They have directors. They pay the managers, and some of the staff get paid. So it's not a charity like they used to be. Because in the old days, charity shops wouldn't throw stuff away. They would donate it somewhere else. And a charity shop, I mean, we literally been to charity shops, and they literally have had stuff donated, and they're not even bothered to go through the bag. They just throw the bag in the bin because they've got too much stuff to deal with, and they haven't got the capacity to go through more. So they just have to bin it. And it's a shame, really, that it ends up going to landfill. And then Ahab says, I made a bodger's shave horse to make crafts and spoons and bowls. Yeah, it's a fantastic tool to make and have. And ever since I made mine, well, I've got to be about 15 years ago, I've had so much fun working on it. And I'm always amazed by the amount of shavings I end up getting as well. And then just keep an eye on the time. And then Opperton says, 1 year we all fjord fishing, I got the hood of a Kubelwagen on the hook. Really? What did you do with it? Did you keep it, or did you throw it back into the ocean? Because I imagine that's probably got a worth. Because let's face it, you only got to see Combat Dealers, the UK show. It's not going anymore. But the amount of money which some of this World War II equipment goes for is incredible. And then we have a comment here from Sam Stapleton. He says, hi, everyone. And then Upper10 says, hi, Sam Stapleton. And if you guys ever looking to have anything made for you, like a spearhead, then Sam's a guy to speak to. I'm sure he'll do you a fair price plus shipping, and it helps him out as well. And do go and check out at some point Sam's channel. If you could, next time you put a video out about smithing, Sam, if you put it on the community share post, then it will go to the channel, and then we can get you more subscribers and share the love. Because that's one of the things we like to do on this channel, is to look after the smaller guys. Because at one point, I didn't have 1,000 subscribers, and I think so many YouTubers, when they get big, they lose that connection of looking after the smaller guys. And perhaps in the future we'll do a kind of a shout out live stream where if you've got a channel, you want a shout out, we'll give you a shout out. We'll, perhaps on another phone we could look at your channel, give you a few hints and tips. Because it's all about, helping one another, because it's how it should be, really. But so many YouTubers, they get famous, they get 100,000 or 500,000 subscribers, and then they seem to forget where they come from. We had this with a guy when we first started. And to be honest, it's 7 years ago, and he had a very small channel at the time, the same size as mine. And then he started making, like one video a month, archaeological videos. He's now got 500,000 subscribers, and and he's never come back on the channel or given us a shout out. I just don't like that, because that's just ego. I don't like people that have a massive ego, because I just can't be dealing with people like that. But fair play to the guy, he's done well. But when you get big, I don't think you should forget where you come from. And so many channels are so, the struggle to get the subscribers, because not enough of us big guys are prepared to give them a shout out and talk about their channel. So I do go and check out Sam's channel. I'm sure you can click on his name at some point, and I'll share another one of his videos. And we have a wave from Sam, and Sam says, "I'm right there with you, brother. I found so many brand new tools, heaters, barbecue tools. Oh yeah, it's amazing what you find. I don't find too many tools. I wish I did. I've already got a lot of tools as it is, but I do find them in skips, or the best place. When somebody's clearing out the house, they throw away the whole toolbox with all the tools in and not give a damn about it, including like proper carpentry boxes and stuff." But I'm going out a little bit, so you'll have to keep ringing me when I'm not in the house. Yeah. I don't think you see that. I don't know if you heard that phone call in the live stream. It's been very bad. And then Sam says, here in America, it's legal to dumpster dive because the police use it as well to go through people's trash for evidence. Well, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I never really thought about that. But yeah. But a lot of people don't like to do it because they're nervous. You think, oh, someone's going to catch me, or or somebody will say something. And I've never really had any bad behaviour, but I know my friend has, including people shouting at her, and then one guy threatened to come down with a butter knife and stab her. And then one of the locals who knows her, had a right to go at the guy and said, "Don't you ever dare treat this lady like that again." So he was severely told off by somebody, verbally. But I've never really had it. And I'm inside the bin and people are walking past and I go, "Hello, I'm just dumpster diving. I'm just getting some free stuff. Are you all right, Duck?" "Oh yeah, we're not bad." So I never really had anybody come up to me and say, "You can't do that." Apart from one time when me and my friend were at a charity place and a woman came up in a car, pretended to be from the charity shop. That's what I think. So we kind of took what we wanted and just moved on to somewhere else. But I kind of got the impression that she had to either to put stuff in the charity bin herself and get rid of rubbish, or go through the bins herself. But we don't know. Just keep an eye on the time. I've got to go out soon. So Offer 10 says, "I have to go. See you guys later. Take care, Offer 10. And King Edward says, "See you, Offer 10. And then King Edward says, I made my own shark tooth necklace. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I used to go looking for shark teeth fossils, and I know the best way of doing it is when you got the bit of the ocean comes in, and you just watch the ocean as the sand comes over, and then you can quickly see the little teeth, especially on a good place where they're coming out and getting eroded by the cliff. Like in Suffolk, there's quite a few nice beaches there, and I found quite a few shark's teeth, including some really nice big ones as well, from megalodons, which will probably be in my attic somewhere. Yes, so do you have any more comments before I end the live stream? Because I've got to get going, get ready to go out, get a shower, um, decide what I'm going to wear. That could take me a while. So I've got too many clothes. I think, what should I wear? This? Should I wear that? I've got to find my wallet or find some money. But we'll see. But I'll try to get back in the next 2 days on a live stream. It could be tomorrow. I don't really plan my day really. I just whatever's going to happen happens. I try to plan every day to get some videos out. I know I put quite a few out yesterday, which were mainly old videos which have been unlisted on the channel. And then Sam Stapleton says, "Do you know of any Viking style arrowhead you want with that gift for me?" Well, I think arrowheads must have been quite standard in this size and the shape of those. There are different types of arrowheads. I don't know how difficult it is for you to make the different sorts of ones, but and I probably couldn't find some shafts for them at some point. I think about having a go at the fletching, but I've seen it enough times to have the knowledge. But even just having some loose ones, to demonstrate and show on camera, and then of course every time we show them and use them, we'll give you a shout out and try to get you some more business. And you could be an international supplier of spears, javelins, and arrowheads, and then venture into other things. Let me have a look at that, and I'll get back to you. And if I can find anything in any of my books, I'll take a picture and send it to you. And then King Edward says, I need to get more leather cord to make more shark tooth necklaces. I would like to have a megalodon tooth with my shark's tooth collection. Yeah, I've only got a couple of them. They're not the biggest. I think one of them are broken as well. But certainly, if you go down Suffolk, and I can't remember the name. I used to go to there quite regularly every year, go looking for them because there's fossils and teeth all over the place, including bits of bones as well, which is quite amazing. Like fossilized vertebrae, and it's just all popping out the cliff face. I think it's called Walton on the Naze. That's it, Walton on the Naze. Really nice place to go fossil hunting. Well, I've not been there for many years. But then Sam says, very nice, and then I'll send you a picture of what you'll be gifted that I already have. Definitely, and definitely for educational purposes. Oh yeah, definitely so. And and I think there's certainly a thirst for people that can make stuff out there, and good traders and manufacturers and people with your kind of a skill set, but just don't fall over in the rain, Sam. Video is so funny. Because you guys don't know what we're talking about. But Sam was like doing some blacksmithing in the rain, and he had a muddy little patch and he fell over. Oh, that was a lot. We've all done it though. I mean, I've certainly fallen over many a time, landed on my arse or ass if you're American. But that was funny. Yeah, perhaps you just send it to me and I'll do a commentary video of it, Sam. Then it's fair use then because I'm making it interesting even better than what it is. I'll put my English comedy sense onto the video. Yeah. Yeah, but that did cheer my day up, that did. And I did tell a couple of people about it in my real life. And I think they could tell that. I find it quite amusing, but it always is funny when people do daft things uh, and fall over. Yeah, if it's on your channel, then I could probably just download it from your channel actually, and then I'll make a remix of it. Uh, I'll do a voiceover. That'll be quite funny. I think it would. And then the other day, I think it was Friday morning, I noticed somebody sent me a message on Instagram, and I got talking to them, and they asked for their permission to use one of the videos where I do a Viking battle cry. Saxony, Little Manny, Viking or Mickle Manny. It basically translates as Vikings big cock. Saxon small cock, Vikings big cock. It's a bit rude, but that's what it fundamentally means, or manhood. So they're going to use it into a dance track, and so that's going to be like sampled. And said, "Oh yeah, you're more than happy to use it." I mean, anybody can use any of our videos, as far as I'm concerned. As long as you give us a shout out, that's all I ever ask, really. You know. So, and I do select the option so people can remix the short videos as well. So again, Sam, if you want to, use any of the videos from the channel, you're more than welcome to, because that option is there to remix them. And I think it's the same with the long format as well. Maybe not some of the older ones. I didn't always have it on in the original back days. But if somebody says, "Oh, Bragi, I really love this video. I want to take 30 seconds of it. Can I use it?" Then yes, you certainly can. And I'd even send you an email confirming it in writing for you. Yeah. So yeah, that's all good stuff. Right, I'm going to have to get going, guys, because I've got to get ready to go out. I just got one more comment. Let me just read these comments first. So King Edward says, "I've seen some funny AI videos on Facebook, or probably it was on YouTube, with Starmer being attacked by animals." Yeah, I've seen one or two of them, and then you get the funny videos of people being interviewed and they're like moaning about things. And I've seen a few funny videos where people are interviewing somebody, and then some old dodgy guy on a bike goes into a puddle and falls over. But YouTube, I did an update on the 15th of July, where AI content isn't going to be monetized in the future. So I think when it comes to longevity of artificial intelligence content, I think it's going to be less monetizable in the future. So I'm probably going to slightly drift away from that side of things. I think it's just going to be too dominant in the future. And if they allow monetization of it, then too many people will be just making it all the time. So I think what YouTube are trying to say is that they want genuine content. They want content what I'm making fundamentally, which is me talking on camera, and that's the content in the future that's going to be monetizable. And a lot of these faceless AI channels are going to lose their monetization. It's a little bit of a pity, because I made quite a lot of content for faceless AI channels, which I've already just started doing some work behind the scenes on. So I kind of shifting my focus away from that now, because I kind of think to myself that it's fundamentally pointless. And I will publish those videos on the other channels I've got, but I think it's fundamentally pointless of doing it if you can't monetize it in the long run. So I think things are changing on YouTube. I think they want to get more genuine content where people talk on camera, and just try to get away from this, dominant AI content. Because let's face it, if you're sub to, one of these apps or whatever it is which can make your AI content and videos, and there's certainly one or two on the channel where I've incorporated Bigfoot as a Viking, or the Burn the Witch one was quite funny, but I can't see it having longevity. It's not evergreen, in the sense of it's not going to be popular in a year or 5 year or 10 years time, whereas the story and the history, that sort of content will still be popular, because people are always going to have a thirst for heritage. People are always going to want to watch a video about a sea axe, because that's never going to go out of fashion. And of course, one of the reasons why I don't use a lot of B-roll or I go down the route of having cartoony kind of a substance to the videos. As again, I don't think that's going to be popular in the future when people just want this, you know, kind of a feel that when you're watching somebody on camera, like we're talking now, they want to have that impression that it's the best friend, it's somebody they know. So it's that best friend kind of approach to content where you have an open, honest, unscripted chat and you have that genuine feel to your videos. And I think that's going to be very, very popular. And that's fundamentally what we've done on this channel for the last 8 years. Although I did actually miss the 8th year anniversary on the 10th for some reason. I must have completely forgot about it, and I'm not sure whether I had a post on it on the community page. But we are technically 8 years old now, and we are now in the 9th year has begun on the channel. So yeah, a little thing to celebrate that. I think we've been here for a long time, and 8 years is a long time, but. And that's one of the reasons why I'm just trying to break out and do things like mental health and the AI content. And I know recently I put out a video about the cost of living crisis, because I thought it was quite important to talk about that. I got another one to go with it where I'm just talking. I'm not relating it to AI. Then I also put out a video about why people don't seem to vote these days, and the fact that it's not voting isn't the problem, it's politics which is a problem. But I'm trying to have a balance in those videos because I don't want to come across as all political, which I don't. And the only reason why we've never gone down that route in the past is not because of me fundamentally. So it was always because of it was what TK, the first channel host, kind of thought the channel shouldn't go down that route. But I'm limiting myself with somebody else's point of view who's not on the channel anymore. And I think we just had a bit of lightning out there. I don't know if you might see it, but it's definitely been trying to thunder all day. So the god Thunar or Thor, it's definitely about tonight. And I know tomorrow we've got some thunderstorms about, so maybe I have to do some filming inside. There we go. I think Thor is hearing the fact that we're on camera and celebrating the live stream. And then more lightning. Just saw that and flick of my corner of my eye. But one of the things, when you learn to do Viking or Norse or medieval combat, one of the advantages it gives you in the modern life, it gives you peripheral vision. Because when you're in the shield wall, more thunder, you're trained to see what's around you all the time. So you're in the shield wall, my eyesight can see all the way down there, all the way down there, because I'm looking, especially if I'm a spearman and I'm using a 9-foot spear, there's a good 9-foot spear with a good shield, then I can quickly know where to go and where to fundamentally, take my spear without really looking in that direction, because my peripheral vision has seen that gap. So I can move my eyesight with my spear at the same time, because you've got to see where you're spearing. You can't just do it blindly with relying on your peripheral vision to spear somebody in a combat sense. So it also gives you that ability. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this little live stream. I will try to come back in the next few days and do another one, and perhaps experiment with some different times of the day again and see whether the afternoon live stream might be popular. Evening is always good for me. So thank you guys for hanging about, and I will see you in the next video. And I got no idea what I'm publishing tomorrow. Got to figure it out at some point in the next 24 hours, or maybe less than that, maybe the next 18 hours, before it gets to about 3 in the afternoon when I'm start panicking. Oh dear, I don't have a long format. And tonight's long format video is just a Dave the Cat's Tale based on the Ale of Trolls from Denmark. I used to make those on CapCut, but CapCut had taken their AI video generator behind a paywall. So I think I got to the point with CapCut, I just decided to delete it from my phone. I'm not going to use it anymore. They're being greedy, so they don't have my support. And I think a lot of people have been quite annoyed with the way CapCut has changed. But then again, it's a lot of apps. Like I used to use one called InVideo, and that's now behind a paywall. You have to buy credits to make videos on that now. And then I think Veed used to be a good one for making vertical AI videos, and now that's gone behind a paywall. So at some point, maybe this week, I might publish the AI video where I'm talking about why we need to end the paywall and why we need to get away from subscriptions, because it's just pure greed, and I don't think a lot of these companies fundamentally need to be charging the amount. Because I did look at, I did download Grok 3, Grok 4. It's the one made by Elon Musk, that AI app. That's £28 a month. What, $40? That's ridiculously expensive just for an AI app. So, use the free ones, guys. So until I see you again, it's goodbye from me. When I figure out how to end it. There we go.